What's up, my loves? Welcome back to another episode of the Fully Alive podcast. My name is Stephanie Elsperman, your host, as always. I'm an entrepreneur, coach, mentor for the high achieving human, and this is the place where we dive into all things purpose, mindset, entrepreneurship, and overall creating a life that makes you feel fully alive from the inside out. And today we have an absolutely phenomenal podcast guest on. Is this our first official guest? I think it is. Miss Laura Patricia Martin. She is one of my dearest soul sister friends and also an absolute expert in her field. She is a trauma and relationship specialist focused on giving you the tools to build and sustain thriving relationships. Now, the coolest part about her is not only is she a badass in what she does, but she's also just a deep and incredible human. And so in this episode, we just have a real girl chat. I grab my chai, she grabs her coffee, and we dive into a conversation all around confidence. And what sparked this entire conversation is one day we were FaceTiming and we were talking about how it can be so easy to look at somebody from the outside and say, oh, well, of course, it's easy for them to be confident because of X, Y, and Z. And her and I have both gotten that comment before. You might look at the outside of people who are running businesses or people who show up some sort of way in the world as confident. And you're like, oh, well, it's easy for them because of X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's their looks, maybe it's who they are in the world, how they grew up. It's so easy to make snap judgments. But in actuality, confidence, especially for the both of us, and we kind of go into our own personal journeys with confidence, was not always there. It was not always something that felt natural. I felt like I had the biggest social anxiety. I remember walking through the halls in high school, having my palms just absolutely sweating, and my heart was racing, just hoping nobody would talk to me because I didn't know how to respond. I would walk into a room and just be like a fly on the wall because I didn't have a level of confidence within myself, even when I was modeling, even when I was at the height of what I thought I should have to be confident. I still didn't feel confident. And she has a similar story as well. And so in this conversation, we dive into all things confidence, how to cultivate true confidence from the inside out. If you have ever been curious on how to really create sustainable confidence in your life, this is for you. We dive into purpose, relationships, dating, and so much more. It is truly one of my most favorite podcast episodes to date, and I can't wait to share with you all Miss Laura Patricia Martin. So let's dive in. Did you ever want to be a YouTuber growing up?
I still do.
You're like, if this is the
You're like,
start.
was I supposed to be growing up? I don't know.
I wanted to be Juicy Star 07.
Don't know
Do
what
you
that
remember
is.
her? You don't remember her?
Literally.
Like a Mac Barbie?
Oh, yeah. I just cut all my Barbie's hairs off.
No,
And I want
it wasn't an actual Barbie. She was a
Oh.
YouTuber.
Oh.
But we can go there.
I was never a YouTube person. Like,
I wasn't until like my best friend in middle school, she introduced me to all these people, and I feel like I grew up in like 2 seconds. So it's like I'm now gonna like put makeup on and follow
dude,
these YouTubers. But
yeah.
hey, you know what? I think it really sparked the entrepreneurial spirit at a young age. I was like, I could do that, but I didn't have the confidence at the time, which is why we are here today.
Everyone, today this is what we are going to talk about. We are going to talk about true confidence in this unplugged segment. And what I mean by true confidence, and lovely Steph can give us her breakdown as well, is a lot of us, myself included, used to, this is not a current thing, but used to think if I achieved enough, if I got skinny enough, if I made enough money, if I was someone's arm candy and they were claiming me, I would be the quote unquote it girl. I would finally be the popular cheerleader in school and like all this fucking shit. And that confidence never came. And it was one of the most heartbreaking things when I first went through that moment where I was like, I have everything. I truly have everything. And I am depressed and I am sick and I'm not happy. Like, I don't get it. Because this it's bananas. But like,
so wild.
It's funny because you hear it more, thank goodness to podcasts, but like a lot of people, it's that success, the depression that comes with the success, because you thought that thing at the top would somehow make you happy, and you're like, oh shit, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, it's crazy because, it's like I was looking at this recently when I was doing some work for magnetic business, and it's like, your patterns, the patterns that you have on your way to success, whoever it is that you're practicing being every single day, on your way to that glorified place where you're going to be confident and you're going to have everything. In my case, the first time I ever really, really experienced this was modeling. I was like, if I just get myself into tip top shape, if I just keep, like walking for 10 hours on the treadmill, if I just keep like getting myself to this place, then I'll be confident and then I'll be worthy. But if I was practicing the pattern of being unworthy the entire fucking time and being so stressed out, trying to chase this image of perfection, guess what's going to be there when I get to quote unquote perfection is all of those patterns I've been practicing. Like there is no off switch. Like there's a momentary high sometimes. Like I can totally speak to that. Certain experiences and certain things that like accomplishments that I had always desired. Yes, there's a high when you achieve it, but then after the high wears off, you are left with you. And if the confidence isn't there from that internal place, that to me, in my own experience, has been the most devastating feeling is like,
Mm.
fuck, like I have everything. I just walked in Paris Fashion Week. I came back home and now I'm left with me and I'm miserable inside. Like that to me is the most hollow sense of confidence. And in fact, I feel like it's less exciting than like doing mediocre things within your life, but having like a low level of confidence, if that makes
Mhm.
any sense, right? Like
Oh yeah.
having this like grandiose image, but zero confidence on the inside. It's for me, it was like the first rock bottom that I ever had.
Yeah. And you realize, I remember the cafe I was sitting in when it was like,
Yeah.
oh, I hit all my numbers and I'm in magazines and I have an amazing group of friends and I sell out to hundreds of people at my events. And I'm like, I remember closing the laptop and being like, shit, like I still feel this. Like,
Yeah.
what is it going to take? And then I chased, more money. I was like, well, let me move to America and it'll be money and it'll be love. And like had those, lost those. And it was just like, nope, still not it. Like,
Mm.
what is this? And I really do believe it's just how we're raised. We see the quote unquote it girls. I've been noodling on this a lot lately as I like think of, and I'm doing a lot of like neural reprogramming work from like my younger years where it's like, it's that like childhood cheerleader football self, right? Like you think
Hmm.
if I can be my adult life, the it cheerleader,
Oh my
I'll
God. I
get,
wanted to be Britney Spears.
oh, same, all the
I
time.
wanted to change my name to Brittany and like be blonde. I'm
We always want to be, you're like, I'm clearly not that.
clearly not. I also wanted to be like 5'2". I'm 5'11".
You're like 5'11". It's literally this whole thing where now I'm seeing it and I see it in my work too, where it's like, oh, if I can just become if I can just have the confidence Laura has, or I can have these kind of things, that's how you attract the quote unquote popular guy, which is now the high
Hmm.
value guy that everyone wants nowadays. It's this like that's the popular. We're trying to get the quarterback. We're trying to become the cheerleader so we can get the quarterback, and that's what I'm seeing. And I'm like, both of those people are insecure. Didn't you all go to high school? Like we have to actually come from this grounded. I know myself. I truly
Mm.
know myself. Therefore, I'm not afraid of you to find anything out about me. And
Mm.
that's where actual confidence comes from. I know myself so fucking well
I
that,
love
and I
that.
know I'm flawed, and I know I'm insecure, and I know I'm also the best human for myself. Like I
Mm.
love me so much, and I genuinely mean that. And I think that is the part that we miss because it's so external. We're like, well, if I have enough things, and if I do this person, and or not do this person, well, maybe, but like have these things,
Maybe.
meet this person, have my lifestyle look this certain way, so I can put it on Instagram. Then I'm
Mm.
supposed to somehow be the quote unquote it girl and have this
Yeah.
confidence. And it's a rat race because it's never enough.
Right. Mm. For me, the question that I like to ask is like, at the end of the day, if everything went away, excuse me, if everything went away tomorrow, the business, the accolades, the achievements, even your partner or your friends, if all of it went away, would you still be proud of you? Would you still be proud of how you live and how you show up every single day? If I can answer yes to that, that's where my confidence comes from.
Mhm.
It's not from any of the other stuff. Otherwise, that can be knocked down in a second. We've all seen that. There could be a zombie apocalypse tomorrow. Like something can happen. All those things can go away, but are you proud of you at the end of the day? And that to me is like the true unconditional confidence. But I want to take it back all the way to the start because I know your listeners are dying to know. They want to know the full story, but they also want to know, as you are snaking in the chair, um, have you always been confident?
Mm.
Like you are this baddie woman. Let me tell you, when Laura walks into a room, she is there. You were like, who is this? Who is she? She claims her space. She brings all of herself. Have you always been this way?
I really do that. No, I do not. Or no, I have not. I was my best friend. I shared this on my stories a few days ago, where sometimes I forget because this is so me now. And I literally just moved to where I am 2 weeks ago and walked into a wine bar yesterday with like a new friend, and everyone at the bar was like, Laura. And she's like, you've been here. I'm like, what the fuck? And I've been there one time, and they all knew who I was. And I was like, kind of just happens. And I'm proud of that. And I don't think I talk about that enough, because I am very proud of it, because of who I was, because of the household I was raised in inside of addiction, because of in growing up when I was exploring my sexuality, I was the girl people messaged on AIM and then pretended didn't exist in real life. And then I got bullied by girls and had all this stuff happen. And it was something where like I was so shy and so timid that my childhood best friend had messaged me. She's like, I can attest to everything you're saying. Like, I used to have to order for you at McDonald's. You were so shy.
Mm.
Like, I couldn't speak to anyone. I would get so mad if like my friends left me from one side of bar to the other. Like, this is why I got into drugs and alcohol, because it numbed me enough to give me this false sense of confidence. Like, I don't even think I ever had sober sex with someone for like the first time until I was in my mid 20s, like not even late 20s, like the first time I was actually intimate with someone. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sober. Like, this is intimate. Wow. Okay. Like, I'm used to, I remember like dating and like having to slam shots before going so I could have confidence, or having a glass of wine, or doing something, because I was like, who I am isn't enough. Where now I'll do what I want. I'll move to different cities. I travel different countries. I hang out by myself all the time. And that part is truly what, like, to me is one of my proudest things. And I forget. And that's what led me to this topic, because I realize how rare that is, like, and how much people want it. And we think that's what's going to, like, if I have the most successful business and I find someone to love me, then somehow have that confidence that I can just walk into a room and whatever. And it's like, I found my confidence in my rock bottoms. I found my confidence by my willpower, because there was a point where I didn't, like, I had nowhere else to turn than know myself and become my true best friend and know myself so well that now walking into a room, if I feel like talking to you, I'm just like, hey, what's up? Like, hi, do you want to be friends? Like, what's your name? Even if you're 72, like my new friend Deborah. Like, it's just like these type of people. And I think that's what's true. That is true magnetism. It's not fake. It's not by what I'm wearing. And I think people do like think that as well, because I do dress very well, and I intentionally stand out. Like yesterday going out, like I don't look like anyone else that's out, I dress a certain way, but I do that on purpose as well. Like I look bold because I'm confident. I want to stand out. Like that's my choice. And so people think, oh, like you look a certain way or whatever. It's like all of this was built. All of this was expanding my nervous system in order to hold that, because I'm proud of it, because why would I shy away from that after so many years of building it?
I love that. And I love hearing you say that you're like proud of that within yourself. It's so good, just like friend to friend. I'm like, fuck yeah. Because you should be so proud of that. I mean, it's amazing the impact that you have, and especially that you didn't always have that. And so, like, growing up, even, or like when you were younger, you were saying that you were like really shy, but what were you actually like? Like, was there any sort of extroverted bone within your body? Tell me.
I'm a rebel. Like I was, truthfully, the more that I've been doing this work and like looking at my actual like teenage self, I just wanted to be seen. So I tried disrupting the system. It was always, she's the basketball kid. It was always that. I was really good at basketball. So that I clung to that. And it was like, that's what I kind of use. But I was like, I'm an introverted extrovert. Like I love being alone. I'm quiet. But growing up, it was like I had this inner rebellion, because it was like, if you guys don't think I'm good, then fuck you, then I'm going to be bad and burn the place to the ground. So looking even back at it, I'm like, I think my quote unquote confidence was anger. Like it was just like, I'm going to fuck you up because I'm going to show you what you think I am, when really I just want to sit at home. Like I want to be the good girl. Like I want to, but you're telling me I'm a bad person because of the family stuff that we had. And my mom being an addict, like a dry addict at the time, just projecting all of her stuff onto me, being like, well, you're a female, so therefore you're going to be a whore, essentially. And I was like, well, if you tell her she's a fish, she's gonna be a fish. Like, this is, growing into that. But yeah, it was like I was shy and I just wanted to be chosen. But because I was so angry, I got loud. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
it makes total
confusing. It's
sense.
confusing because it's like I wanted to be safe. That's all I wanted. And I wanted to be, the more I'm doing this neurological work and looking at, what would have been my ideal childhood. It's like I would be home with someone I love, with a family, playing games. Like, that would have been my ideal childhood, and that's what I did want. But because of how angry all of it was just like, fuck this, give me drugs and alcohol, and I'm going to disrupt the system.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting, like even hearing that, and like I'm reflecting as like both of us are sitting here, and it's like we know just based on a relationship that there are similar desires and a similar core and that similar magnetism and confidence and things that we actually want within life. It's just kind of human nature. But to see the expression that happened in your childhood and then my childhood and how we were actually we would have never been friends in high school. I hope you know
Oh
that.
my God, tell me more.
We would
What
have
was your
never been,
confidence?
because your expression, like I have so much compassion for that inner child part of you who just fucking wanted to feel safe. Who just wanted to feel safe. So it's like I'm gonna grab for anything, even if it's destructive to myself. Like I will grab for anything to feel that sense of safety. And I want to hug her. I wish we could have hugged together. We would we probably wouldn't have been beneficial for us back then, but
No, I wouldn't.
but it's so interesting because on like the flip side, when I look back at my own childhood, it was like for me, I wanted to feel a sense of safety, but I went into perfection because my entire family presented perfection and was like, oh, we have it all together. Like, oh yeah, like everything's stressful, intense at the house, but we all look like we have it all together. And like on the outside, like our family is good, it's perfect, it's amazing. Dad's doing this, mom's doing this, like that's the only thing. And so I flung myself into like people pleasing, showing up as like the perfect, I call her the show pony, like the perfect one for everybody, which led me into modeling, led you into rebellion, led me into modeling, both self destructive at the heart of it, but different representations almost. And it
Mhm.
all comes from that sensation of like, well, if we don't actually feel safe, we're going to find something. It's like the cute little immature brain that's like, I'm going to find something to make me feel safe. I don't care what it is. I don't care what I have to do for it. I'm going to find something. And I look back at that part of me and I'm just like, I love you so much. Like you were truly doing the best that you knew how to do to cope with the entire situation and experience. And it's really cool reflecting now where we have a level of maturity. It's going to keep growing. I don't feel that mature within my life. Like it's going to keep growing, but the ability to reflect and be like, no, where does my safety actually lie? Like what is that, which then actually creates the true confidence rather than like the grasping confidence that comes crashing down at some point.
Yeah. How have you seen this relate in your business? Like, shifting from modeling and the evolution and being able to stand in front of,
Mm.
people and teach them and do these kind of things where it's like, and I've known you where it's like the perfectionist and you really navigated that kind of overcoming, to actually be yourself and to be seen in that. What has been that evolution and switch for you?
Mm. I think the heart of it, and I would still say, like, I feel like the perfectionism is something that's going to continue unraveling throughout my life. Like, I still sometimes feel like there's a version of myself that I have to present and I have to look a certain way. And it's so funny because you were talking about this where you're like, yeah, I do show up. I dress nice. I show up in X, Y, and Z way. And it's like, I do the same thing too. I don't go anywhere. I don't leave my house most of the time. I live in a small town. I walk downstairs, but I still show up and look a certain way because I like the way that that feels. And it's an extension of the inner confidence that I feel. However, it can also sometimes be the perfectionist at play as well. It's like a very, very fine line. And so, anyways, like I do feel like it's something that will continue raveling. But for me, the biggest switch, bringing it all the way, like tracing it all the way back to like the first time I could actually look myself in the mirror and say, like, I fucking love you. Like, I love who you are and I love how you show up, was after I had actually started like feeling like I had a purpose in this world that was beyond doing things for other people's achievement.
Hmm.
And I had just run this, I was running like these youth groups for donation. I was probably making $5 an hour doing this, but I loved doing it because I would give these talks to spiritual empathic youth and young adults. And so I had just like created a curriculum. It's basically what I do now, which is so wild. I had created a curriculum, given a talk, and just held this space for connection. And I remember getting back and being able to actually look in the mirror after years of having an eating disorder and being like, I don't know when I'm ever going to be able to look at myself, nonetheless, look at myself and say, I actually love you. And I remember getting back, and for the first time, I could look in my eyes and be like, I am so proud of who you are. Like, I love you. Like, yes, like that feeling. And that was the start to everything. And so now, like, that was the initial, like, genesis moment of, like, oh, here's confidence that's beyond perfection. Like, it wasn't how perfectly I said things. It wasn't that I showed up wearing the right thing. It was that I actually had a sense of purpose of, like, I'm doing what my soul came here to do. That was the start of my confidence. And now, like, how I see that evolving is if ever I'm at a place within my business and I've hit my knees, a couple of years ago, I think at this point in business, where I remember, reaching this point that I had always wanted, that I dreamt of when I started my business, having the success, having the clients, having, everything that I wanted for myself, but then still being like, if this is my life, I don't fucking want it. And I was like, this again? This fucking pattern again? And that was the point where I knew, like, whoever you're practicing being in the pursuit of your success is still going to be there when you have the success. There is no light switch that turns it off. There is nothing that happens that takes away the perfection the minute that you reach your success. And so if that's who I've been practicing being every single fucking day, it doesn't go away. I know that so deep within my bones now that I will never forfeit myself or how I feel about myself for success. It's not fucking worth it. It is not worth it to me to get to a place and then look back and not be proud of who I am or how I've been showing up. And so for me, it's like do, have, be, do, have, rather than have, do, be, or do, have, be,
Yeah.
right? Like if I practice who I'm being, then I'll do the actions, then I'll have everything that I desire. If we're all in a simulation, if it's just a fucking simulation, and we're
We've been on
just
this
in this for
simulation kick, guys.
I swear I've been seeing it like crazy. Like if actually everything is for our own growth, then it's really all about who you're being. And of course, do dope shit. I fucking love when I've accomplished a goal. Now it's like amazing. And am I proud of myself? And if this went away tomorrow, would I still be happy? Both of them have to coexist for me to really feel like satisfied and feel confident in what it is that I'm doing. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And I love that because it's who you are in the process. And can you fall in love and understand yourself through the process, not because of the achievement that comes after? It's who you are in that building. Do you see the triggers come up? Do you see the perfectionist mind you come in? Do you see the people pleasing? Do you see, these parts of self and still give love and compassion as you're starting to build that journey? Because at the end of it, that's not going to actually give you what you want, because I think a lot of us, when we're chasing that, we think the end game. And when we can actually come into growing something from a space of like, I'm just fucking doing this because it's fun, and I get to then go on this like ayahuasca journey of my soul and understand myself better. And that's actually the purpose of this whole thing. And the bonus is that I get to make something dope and sell it to the world, like, or make this whole bunch of money and see what it feels like in my body, or give back
So
and see what
fun.
that does. And it's just, we get to balance these kind of things, but it's no longer about the end. And
Yeah.
that's the release that I feel so deeply as
Mm,
well.
I love that. And I feel like you've noticed this in dating and relationships
Oh
this
yeah.
year as well, because it's been a fucking huge year. So big.
A little big.
It's like a little bit bigger than small.
It's a little like,
It's like
it's just like a
actually fucking
pothole.
massive.
It's a fucking pothole.
Or like a ditch. Like went into, got out. Like
It's not a speed bump. It's a pothole. Just kidding, guys. I love my love
Canyon.
life. It's really good, but it's been a plot twist. Yeah, and this was my ayahuasca journey. It's, if I'm not going to be loved for being nice, or I'm not going to be loved for being successful, and I'm not going to be loved for
Mm.
whatever, not healing my father wound clearly because I'm trying to prove myself in all these situations, I might as well be my fucking self. And like, it's been so fun. And it's one of those things now, dating and showing up, every person is like, I have literally, this guy that I have a crush on, he goes, you are so eclectic. And I go, do you want a shovel? Because you can go bury yourself outside if you want. Like, what does that fucking mean? And he's like, this is the best date. Like, I'm not going to ever forget this date. Like, we had so much fucking fun. And that's how my dates are. And I used to feel so self-conscious about that because every guy I've ever dated, anyone I've ever been in love with, that is one of the first initial statements they say. They're like, I have literally never met anyone like you. And I'm like, oh God, no, like, is this a bad thing? And I realized how much everyone loves it. Like, all my friends say it about me. Like, everyone says it about me. And it used to.
I think you're like really normal.
Like, this is normal. I don't get it.
I think you're like so normal. Like, it's like, you're like not anything special.
Like, sit down.
I'm completely kidding. You're the most special and the best guy. But I do remember you telling me, like, in the beginning of our friendship, like, we were talking about aliens or something, and you're like,
Probably.
I don't have people around me who, like, think that this isn't, like, weird. I'm like, you're literally talking to one. Like, I talk about aliens all the time. Like, it's not weird to me.
Exactly. Like, it's a thing where I'm like, this is like a normal conversation. But the more I'm in this dating world, it's like I talk about things and they're like, people don't talk this way. Or anyone, I'm meeting new friends, like things like this. At first, when I was in Texas, they're like, people don't talk this way. And I was like, I don't know how not to. Like, it's just not, I don't know how to have a normal conversation. What do you want me to talk about? Sports? Because I have no clue. Like, I don't know. I need you to tell me all your trauma. Just right out of the bag.
Let's just go there.
Let's just go there. But that's one of those things. And I see it a lot in my dating life as well, where it's like, if I'm not going to be like, I need you to love me, and I'm silly and I'm playful and I'm stern and I'm delicious and I am a lover and I'm a little bit of a rebellion and I like to yell a little bit sometimes, but like in my car, not at someone. Like, there's just so many pieces of me that I have worked so hard to love that I will never close my throat again. And it's funny because I can look back at past relationships and I would have been happy. But like this last breakup, it was one of these things. And I actually have a psychic reading that I'm going to post. Maybe I'll do it in the next episode. Guys, don't hold me to this because we know I don't actually have a plan for half the things I do, but I do have a psychic reading that I brought on a psychic to the podcast, and she did my reading. And she's like, your past relationship, there's a lot around your throat chakra. She's like, did you not speak up? And I was like, at the time, I wouldn't have said no because I was so in love. Like, I didn't see anything wrong, but I was doing what a lot of us do, is I was being the good girl. And I'm wild in a really good way, but I was being the good girl. And then after that happened and after the breakup happened, I was like, you didn't even know me. And that hurt more. I was like, you didn't even know the real me. And what a shame that is, because the real me is so loving. And then I'm like, okay, so what is that work that I get to now work on? And it feels so good. This is why my work has been so magnetic since then. That's why I've made so much money in the last 2 weeks, and how my podcast has had the downloads that it has, and how clients and how my dates are. It's because when you actually heal these things and you see yourself, and there's going to be more, there's going to continuously be this evolution, because that is my journey of like, how real and raw can I be in myself, and how can I accept this? That's my life journey. I know that, to find the balance and to fully know that like you can be loved by being too much, and because it's never too much for the right people. And like, that is my journey. And so in dating, in relationships, it's yourself, right? Like, how much of myself can I bring to this table to feel the flutter, to feel, is he going to text me back? Like, does he like me? Like the guy that was like, you're so eclectic. I was like, I called my friend as soon as I got home. I was like, I don't think he's going to call me. Within 4 minutes after walking through the door, he's like, I need to see you again. And I was like, oh, just kidding. She's like, you're never allowed to call me unless it's been 24 hours after a date, because every single person needs to take you on another date. Everyone says the same fucking shit. And I'm like, you're actually right. And that feels really good, to be someone that sets this new standard, and to know that that's a gift a lot of people don't have, because a lot of people do, like my clients or anyone, will go on dates or go into relationships even with their partners and being like, I feel like my partner doesn't even know me and I've been married to him for fucking 7 years. Like, It's these parts we hide because we're in these little things, and we do it because we want to protect that little girl, because we've been bullied, because we have been the side person, because our dads or our mothers have said things to us that we kind of stored, where it's like, well, if I actually fully express myself, I'm going to be ostracized and I'm going to not belong. And it's a human need to belong. So it's just like really building this stuff inside your nervous system of like, can you truly meet you, so that when you go into these situations, people are like, oh my God, can I have more of this? Like, I've never met someone that's just like so okay with all of themselves. And it's like, what the hell is this? This is great. And it is magnetic. And then I feel like it gives people a permission slip to be themselves as well. And that's ultimately what everyone wants.
Yeah, it's like as cliche as it is, going in knowing that like you're the prize.
Yeah.
Like you are the actual prize. But it has to be, it's not like I am the prize. Like, I feel like that's almost entitled. And I totally understand that energy, but it's the energy of like, I fucking love what I bring to the table. Like, I love
Yeah.
what I bring to the table. I love who I am. I love how I live. Yeah, what I do is dope, And for me, like in my own personal work, that comes from the sense of purpose of like when you're like, yeah, I am living what I'm meant to live. And yeah, I am fucking excited about it. And yeah, I do have a lot to say. And yeah, I am curious about you because I'm in alignment with my life. Where are you at within yours? I'm curious about you. Like it creates that sense of magnetism. But when you're living a life that doesn't actually feel like yours, like that's where it's like, don't ask me about my passions. Oh my gosh. Like how many people I've
Ooh.
seen who are like, just like, don't ask me about that.
Yeah, or the alternative that I felt, because it was like, not don't ask me about my passions. It was don't ask me about my passions because I feel like they're going to be too intense, and then it's not going to, like, you're
Mm,
going to be intimidated by them because I'm so passionate
yeah,
about the work that I do, and I'm so these kind of things, not getting actually comfortable with how passionate you fucking are, like having the confidence around being in your purpose. I've had that one where
yeah,
I'm like, "Oh, I can't do it because you kind of seem a little bit like you're in a kerflunkle and you don't fully know yet, and I don't want you to, and I don't want you to be challenged by that." Where
yeah,
now I'm like, I fucking will spend a Saturday here because I fucking love it, and I will talk about it because I love it, and I'm not sorry about that anymore. Like,
I'm
this
not
is my life.
sorry.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
And if that pisses you off because it's a fucking Saturday and you want to go do whatever, it's like, do you, baby? Like, I
Mm,
get to have every day of the week that feels like a Saturday. So there you go. And my work
mm,
is my life. And that's something that I'm so fucking proud of. Where before it was like, oh, I don't want to intimidate them or whatever. And it's like, actually, this is all of me. And if you want to marry me, you should know this is how my life is. And I'm obsessed with this fucking stuff. And I'm proud that
mm.
I'm obsessed with it, because you get to be
Yeah.
a housewife and you get to be deliciously passionate about your purpose. Like, you get to blend these things together. And I feel like there's this, like, I have to pretend, I have to dull it down, or I have to fit a
Oh,
mold. And
fuck no. Then they're
it's
not the match.
right. Exactly. But like, oh my
Like,
God.
yeah, I mean, I totally can understand that and get that. And I remember one of the most liberating things when I met Nolan for the first time is I was like, oh my God, there's somebody that matches my intensity with drive and purpose in the world. And I feel like it's like when you have that purpose and you own and embody the passion that you do have about your life, you can't not be with somebody who also has that for themselves. Otherwise, and to me, it's like the healthiest form of relationship is like what you were saying. I think you had quoted Lewis Howes' podcast where he was
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah.
my purpose is going to come before this relationship. And if it's not, like, something's going to be off. Right. And like that, Nolan's over there doing his work on Saturday. I'm over here getting to talk to you. We had a date this morning. We'll have a date this afternoon. Like, it's beautiful. But like, there is that separation of like, there is something that means so much to me in this world that I'm not willing to sacrifice myself just for love, but we
Mhm.
can love each other together, and it's like that interdependence of like, I'm going to be by your side as you build this, I'm going to be by your side as you do this, and together we rise, but not forfeiting. I feel like when there isn't that embodied passion or that purpose within your life that is that grounding pillar, it is so easy to just give yourself to the relationship and that's it. And then you wake up when you're 40 and you're like, where the fuck are my dreams? Like, I have kids, I've got the house, I have everything, but like, what about things for me? And it's why it's so funny because I watch myself in relationship, and especially now that we have a house and like we're living this like very, like, I feel like our life sped up 20 years, which I love, and like my soul is so happy. But I noticed that part of myself where it could be really easy to just give all of my energy to love and to our relationship. Like, that's that core feminine desire of like, I'll follow you anywhere. Sure, I'll do this and I'll neglect everything for myself. And that's been like a really key thing. And so I understand how easy that can be. I'm so grateful I have such a strong purpose and thing that I desire to create and share and evolve in the world. Otherwise, I feel like it'd be really easy to lose myself. Do you ever
Mhm.
feel that way? Like, do you
I
notice that within
do.
relationships and within your clients
Yeah,
ever?
I mean, my clients as well, that's what I help them with. Where it's funny because it's like, oh, they come to me with relationship stuff and what have you. But we had a call where I was like, it's funny because we're talking about business and alignment and clarity. Like it always comes back to that. I'm like, we're always talking about like, oh, they're obsessed with their, because that's the masculine. They're fucking obsessed with their
Yeah.
work. They're gonna be, and when
So
you can actually get into alignment, and this was a big wake up call for me because it was always like, oh, you're back from work, pay attention to me. Why aren't you obsessed with
Mm-hmm.
me? Why are you still adopting more work? Not realizing this whole time, if I was truly in my purpose, I wouldn't have even fucking noticed. I would be like, yeah, baby boo, you go over there, I'll see you in 2 hours. Like we're gonna MacGyver this whole thing around so we can put relationship forward. But anyone that I hear, and I say this to my clients as well, if you have a problem with him working and you have a problem with him prioritizing his purpose, that means you're not in your purpose. You're not prioritizing what you're here to do then, because it's not,
Mm-hmm.
yes, there are distractions, and I see this with high achievers, and I'm sure you do too, where it's like you can overdo it because you're trying to mask and you don't want to actually, you want to use busy with work as an intimacy blocker because you're an
Mm-hmm.
avoidant and you just don't want to fucking call a spade a spade. And I see that a lot, but there is when you are actually as passionate and from a confident, grounded, I'm not doing this from lack place, I'm doing this from abundance, where you're going to want to spend a lot of time doing these things. And when we take that away and we're looking at someone else's, we're looking at our relationship and it's like he's not paying attention to me, he's always doing these things, it's like, well, one, you're probably nagging him about things, and two, you're not in your purpose. So let's work on you getting in your purpose, because the more you're in your purpose from a true place of like, I am so alive with my work, you are so fucking magnetic. You are like
So
a
magnetic.
fucking fly. They're like, wait, you're not paying attention to me anymore and you're not nagging, what are you doing over here? Like, oh my god, can I lick your toe? Like it's
Yes.
something where like it turns them on because they're like, oh my god, because men's biggest wound, not biggest wound, but thing about love, we want love, men want freedom. That the way
Mm-hmm.
you feel about desiring love and someone claiming you is the way he feels about freedom. And so when
Mm-hmm.
you actually have a love for your life and your purpose and your alignment and who you are, and you can confidently stand in that, that's going to be, he's going to be like, oh, I'm not responsible for all of your emotions. I'm not responsible for planning your day to day. Therefore, I want to choose you. I want to have my purpose. That's
Mm.
my masculine desire to provide, to protect and lead. And then I'm going to come back in and be like, what do you want? What do you want? Because you're so magnetic right now. And this is amazing. And this turns me on. And I want to be of service to you.
Mm. Yeah. The most magnetism and like attraction that we feel is like either if I'm witnessing in him and his genius, or he's witnessing me and my genius, and then we come back together. And it's the most incredible thing to experience. And I mean, we were walking through this when I was in Denver, and I was in Denver for one of his work, call it a conference, the gem show. He's in jewelry. And we were there, and I was walking through that like inner little girl part of me that was like, oh, if I just show up and be perfect for everything, then I'll be, then I'll have confidence, or then I'll be everything that he wants me to be. And in fact, I was sick for most of the time that I was there. And so it really gave me this opportunity to reflect on these patterns of like, what is support and what is like magnetism in our relationship, where it could be really easy for me to, forfeit myself over and say, oh, I'll be at every single event, I'll be at everything with you. But in actuality, like that's not my truth. Like that's not my core. Maybe at some point it might be, but it's not, because I have my own purpose, I have my own vision. And so if it's important, I'll be there no matter fucking what. Like I will be there. But if it's not, it's like that's where like we're happier that way, and it's reprogramming this entire pattern around like the woman in the relationship giving everything, and the man, having his purpose, and the woman sitting at home, and it might look really great, but deep down she's unfulfilled, right? Versus like, no, let's both have our things, and then we'll come together, we'll be intertwined, we'll support each other in this entire experience. And that is like co-creation and magnetism within our relationship. And it's something, it's really wild because there aren't a lot of, in our case, there aren't a lot of examples on either side of our families for this model, where you have a powerful woman and a powerful man together doing their work, who would go to fucking war together. It's like he honors parts of me and the work that I bring into the world, and I honor the fuck out of what he does as well. And that is like a new model that I feel like we're starting to see and create.
I
It's
love it.
fun.
And it's so expansive. Like my entire body. I was telling a woman that I went to wine with yesterday how you can tell you're in the right track because you keep hearing these stories around people, and you're like, your person's so fucking close because you just keep hearing these
Yeah.
whole stories of like power couples and extension. And that's what the pre-housewife era is. It's like you get to be powerful. It's not just that you're a housewife and you're cleaning the house and you're doing the things and you're folding their knickers and what have you. It's you're fully in your purpose, and you soften with your partner when you're with your partner, but you have both of your purposes, and that's what drives it. That's what this
So funny
whole
though.
is.
Because it's like, but it's not like we don't have models for it. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Because it's like, well, we think of pre-housewife or like housewife, being a housewife. My grandma this morning, I was talking to her, and I was like, she was telling me how I used to call her all the time when I was single and like living in my apartment. And I was like, yeah, now we live in a house, there's more responsibility. She goes, yes, you're a housewife. And I was like, I mean, we're not there yet, but we're not there yet. I mean, there are more things, but I was like, but it's different now because it's no longer the housewife that just, forfeits everything. It's like the housewife who has their own thing, yet there's this core feminine desire to still show up and support and do all the things. It's so funny. It's
Yeah.
like totally, I could take an entire morning and do laundry and clean the house and make sure it smells nice and support him, make sure that like food is cooked. Like there is part of me that loves that and desires that, and I know it's going to get stronger if we ever have kids in the future. Like I can feel that part of my feminine desire, but then there's also such a huge part of like my feminine healer self that's like, you're not going anywhere. And I know I'm in my life's work for my life until I'm 85. Like I will always be doing this work because I feel it so strongly within my heart. And so like the pattern of them and like the give and the take and the dance of all of it is so interesting to me to witness of like how to balance that all. And I don't have an answer for it. But it's
It just
fun.
happens. It's not even about quote unquote how to do it. Like, how do I have it all? It's the more you do it, the more you grow the capacity to hold all of this. This is why you will, when you have kids, you figure out how to add them into your routine, and you get the business and people, they expand your nervous system. The more you do things, the more you expand into these things. And it's like, it's not an everyday thing that you're having the relationship first and having the dates every single day and doing the things that we see on Instagram that we think this is just
God,
how people live
no.
their life. It's like, no, there's some day I'm jumping out of bed and I'm going straight to my laptop and someone's handing me a coffee and I'm like, thank you very much. Like, and I don't talk to them for 8 hours. It's like, you have these moments and then you come back and you come together. Like it's a dance of some days, and especially being a female, it's like going with our hormonal cycles. Like we're not in our work mode the whole time. Like masculine can be
No.
14 hours a day every single day if we let them,
That's
to
what
be
I love
honest.
about him.
I do. Like, I love that about the man
Love
where I'm
it.
like, oh my God, you are amazing. And like
Yes.
my old insecure part would be like, oh my
Love it.
God, you're not making ends with me. Now I'm like, this is so hot. Also, you should go move your legs because you need to. Do you want to go ride a
Big
bike
fair.
really quick?
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because I feel like it comes back to the core desire of like a win for him is a win for me.
Yes.
And like we didn't have that in the beginning, like 1.0 of our relationship. And I feel like that's really common. Like in the 1.0, so to give context, Nolan and I, my partner right now, we were together for about 2.25 years, let's say, broke up for a year, and now we've been together for like, holy flop, like a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. We don't really keep track. We don't even know our anniversary. We're just like, I like you. We're here. So in our 1.0 relationship though, I was totally triggered by if he was like working more, or like I felt like I need to like keep up because we didn't have the deepening of commitment where it's like a win for you is a win for me. We're still kind of like on our own tracks in life, not necessarily seeing the full picture. That was on me. I'm not going to speak for his experience because I think he's always felt that a win for me is a win for him, and it's beautiful. Scorpio loyalty. We love him.
Uh-huh.
But now it's like there's the deepening where we're actually working together, where it's like a win for him. It's totally a win for me, and a win for me is totally a win for him because we're in it together. And there's a sense of like maturity and unity that most of the time I feel like isn't always there, especially in dating, and in the earlier stages.
Well, because you want
But
everyone's
having,
attention. You want all this kind of stuff. Again, going back to when you truly know yourself, and circling it back to confidence, it's like you're not challenged if someone doesn't text you every single day. Like this whole fucking notion of like, if he doesn't text me every single morning saying good morning, and like we see this
I'm
all
like,
over
please don't.
Instagram. Literally, I'm like, someone that has, I'm usually getting the ick from you. Let's be freaking honest.
Oh yeah, I'm
But
like, don't text me. Like I've got shit in my
I
life.
have
Like,
shit to do. I can't text you all day. And also, if you're texting me all day, I all of a sudden
what are
can
you
see that you
doing?
are not in your. Yeah, why do you have so much time to text me all day? I don't like. What are you doing?
Like I hope your hands are like in something
Go do something.
on your phone.
It's so funny because like I can think back to how many times when I was dating other people where I'm like, why don't they talk to me all day? Like, what are they? Blah, blah, blah. Like the insecure version of me. Where now, like this version, I'm like, why are you talking to me all day? Like, don't you have things to do? Like, what are you doing?
So true.
And it's like, and it's not even an everyday thing. To be completely honest with you, in dating, like it's just I don't want to talk to you every day. Let me have some mystery, and that truly does come from your confidence, your regulation, you knowing yourself, because you're not like, oh, he's out doing whatever and he's gonna forget I exist or fucking other bitches and whatever. And it's like, yeah, he may be, but also that's not your person if that's what they're doing. It's like, so why are you wearing your freaking cotton socks about these things?
Like
It's like,
be in your life.
in your life.
Be in your
Why, if
life.
you are actually in alignment with your life and in your purpose, your brain, it might go there for a second, because I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast, anxious attachments, like that's the thing you're working through. So your brain's gonna go there. My brain will sometimes go there, and then I'm like, we should go do something. Like this is not a useful thought pattern at all. Let's go actually get into our purpose and like find our confidence and take ourselves out. Because not that I do need a man. I will never say the phrase I don't need no man, but like I definitely do. We love men. But I don't need you texting me every day. I don't need to feel good about myself because you texted me good morning. Like, that's not what gives me confidence. It's cute when I get them. When someone texts me, go, wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. I'm like, what do you want? Like,
Somebody's texting you, wakey, wakey, eggs and wakey.
just gonna wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. And I'm just like, I literally looked at my phone and I just went, what do you want? But also it made me laugh so hard. So I was like, thank
That's
you.
hilarious.
It's not the
That's
one
so
that gives
funny.
me the egg. It's the other guy. So we're okay.
Yeah.
But it's funny because he doesn't text me every day. It's not a thing. It's just, it's funny. Like, I'm like, whatever.
The mystery. Keep the mystery
Yeah,
alive.
keep the mystery alive. Like, and that's,
I mean,
I think you can only allow mystery when you are secure in yourself. Like when you truly can date from, and it's same with business. Like when someone goes away for a little bit, it's like, I trust you. You're a fucking adult, whether you want to come to this or not. It's like, I don't need to be in your face every fucking day. I don't need to be like blowing up your phone. Like, did you send the payment? We actually talked about this with someone you were with. Did you send the payment? Da 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 da. And you're like, actually, I'm not gonna fucking work with you because I can't stop checking in on me. Like, it's the same fucking thing.
Stop checking in on it is totally the same thing.
It's the
It's
same.
totally the exact.
Let me have the mystery. Let me know myself so well. I'll come to the terms if I want to see you or not.
Also, like, isn't it fun? To me, that's more fun. Of like, I love, like, even in business, I love knowing that there are people out in the ethers that we've had conversations before, and maybe they didn't follow up. Maybe they didn't have this. I'm like, but at any given point, it could drop in. Like, at any given point, that happens, you know? And like, I feel like I've noticed this even living with a partner, where it's like, if we're constantly, he's like a door over. The feminine urge to just constantly distract
just be like
myself and him all the time. It's so strong. But if I have like a solid plan, know what I'm doing every single day, like that doesn't happen, you know, because I'm in my life and it's like, go fill your life up with something. But I notice that, and I honestly just lost my train of thought, but I notice that I don't remember.
The part of if you're not being in your purpose, you're just gonna want to fucking
it's way easier. It's way easier to distract, and it's like that's where it's like to me, it's like having that concrete understanding of what your purpose is and a plan for actually carrying it out in the world. I promise you, you're going to become way more independent, way more confident within yourself, and be able to actually look at yourself and be like, I fucking love who you are. I love the work that you do, no matter what, you know, no matter what. And that to me is confidence.
That in the end. Like, subscribe, review. Woo!
Join our YouTube channel.
Subscribe for fashion advice.
Follow our LTK. I just set up an LTK.
I just set up an Amazon storefront.
But hint, most of my clothes are from Newly.
She's also trying.
I don't have a link.
She's trying to get people on
There's
this.
no link for Newly. I should get it a sponsorship link.
Anyways, guys, that was our chat on confidence. That was the worst closing we've probably ever done. We're just like, okay, cool, bye. Like, but really, it is all of it comes full
I feel
circle.
like we could talk about this. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now we got ourselves going.
I
I'm about to
know.
go meet with Nolan's colleagues and just be on another level.
You're gonna be on it.
Um, no, I feel like we could talk about confidence all day, every day, especially because you and I feel like have that similar experience where it's like people are like, oh yeah, it's easy. It must be easy for you. But it's not the case. You know, it's not
Yeah.
always like that, and it hasn't always been that way. And there's so many little
It's
things
a
with
daily
confidence.
practice. Why do you think I threw myself, literally jumped off the cliff, sold everything I own, and moved to a place where I know absolutely no one? Not because I'm the most confident person in the world. I was like, this is gonna be a test for where we're going next. Like, Steph has been on the
It's
phone,
like,
and I'm like, I think I'm dying. Like, what? This is too far for me. I'm good at this. This is too far. And now I'm like, oh, within 2 weeks we have a wine bar we walk into. Everyone knows you. You have these great dates. Like, we've been here 2 weeks. Like,
yeah.
it is those things you stretch the muscle, like confidence. And that's what I want people to get from all of the story and all the kind of things is like, it is necessary. True confidence, because people can smell insecurity from a mile away. If you need these accolades and you need these things, that you're going to get to a space where you're exhausted and you're probably already there because you're like, nothing is hitting. Or I'm seeing my money spike and drop, or I'm dating these emotionally unavailable partners. Like, all of these things are all interconnected to your self-worth and your confidence. And if you haven't actually alchemized that to step into it, we're going to keep seeing these waves. And that's what I really wanted to bring from this conversation is like, the truth of it is it's not easy. It's a daily practice and it's built over time. And it comes from you truly knowing yourself. And from there, that's when you're met with the relationships, whether that's business or romantic or friendships, where people are like, oh my God, you're like a safe place to land because you know yourself. And I feel safe with you because your nervous system is now going to co-regulate my nervous system and you're going to be a mirror to what I want in this world. And I really think that conversation needs to be had way more because it's not a 5-step formula of how to do things. It's like, come home to yourself at the end of the day and you'll find exactly what you're looking for. So your homework for this episode, go do something great. Whatever makes you feel confident in knowing yourself. Take yourself on a date.
Go do something great.
Go
Take
take
yourself on a
date.
date. Get yourself all cute.
Go to my Amazon storefront page if you
Feel
don't know what
good.
to wear.
Look good. Feel good. And we'll see you on the next episode.
See you in the next episode. Also, y'all, take those sexy little thumbs of you because a lot of you are listening and downloading and all the kind of things and not subscribing. And that's not helpful to anyone. And we send new episodes every single Monday. And also, I don't ask much of you. Oh my God, it's 222 right now. I don't ask much of you, but it really does help out podcasts and anyone when you subscribe. So go do that for yourself because you obviously listen to this because it's awesome. And 2, because it helps me out and I'm asking a favor of you. So thanks. I love you.
Love you. Bye.
All right, my loves, that is a podcast episode that we have for you all today. I hope that something has deeply resonated with you. You got to see a whole different side of our goofy, silly, funny selves. So I hope that something has sunk in for you today. And if it has, feel free to send this to somebody who you absolutely adore, who you feel like might resonate with this podcast as well. Because our intention with everything is to continue up-leveling the world so that we can all rise together. If you desire to connect deeper with Miss Laura Patricia Martin, her Instagram will be linked in the show notes below this episode at It's Laura Patricia Martin. And I cannot wait to see you on the next episode. Mwah!